Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. At the 1964 World's Fair, Ford revealed to the public a new fun motor car, the Mustang. But believe it or not, it was actually overshadowed by another machine Ford brought to the event, a colossal huge gas turbine truck that defied dimensions. At 13 feet tall, 100 feet long with its tandem trailers, packed with truly futuristic features like televisions, zero-gravity seats, and an incinerator toilet, this truck, if you can even call it that simple name, was the freight revolution the American auto industry needed. But Ford wasn't alone. Rival Chevy also brought their own gleaming concepts that promised to revolutionize trucking with incredible power, durability, and efficiency, and promised to battle Ford for the mantle of the trucking empire. So, what the heck happened? Not only did the big red truck vanish from the world, but the revolution never came. Was this technology the game changer that was promised? Or was it all just a big myth? Buckle up and blast that horn and ride the American highway with Ford's jet-powered monster, the Big Red Truck. Jet-powered land machines didn't originate with Ford, and they didn't even come from the United States. The first jet-powered car came into existence just after World War II with the Rover Jet 1. Rover had worked on jet-powered aircraft during the war and was set up nicely to try this technology in a motor car. Now, I can hear you asking, why on earth would you want to stick a jet engine in a car? After all, it sounds like a zany Top Gear episode. Well, think about it. These things are smooth operators at any speed, have fewer moving parts, and can guzzle down different kinds of fuel. They kick off easily, even in the freezing cold, and they were expected to outshine regular engines in terms of fuel efficiency. It all adds up to a simpler, more flexible powertrain that's supposed to be a reliable and wallet-friendly choice in the long run. And if it worked for jetliners that operated in arguably way more extreme conditions, then on long-haul trucks it would have been even better. You just swap the runways of airports for the runways of the new American interstate system. Now, it does have some disadvantages. Naturally, a jet engine is more expensive than a gas one, but if you found a market model that was mass-produced and commercial, meaning owners would be able to use it for business and industry, then it would make financial sense and be a winner. And interstate trucking fit the bill. Ford knew that they had a cash cow on their hands and got to work, and what they came up with was nothing less than revolutionary. This truck promised to re-engineer the world of overland logistics in such a big way it was like the coming of the steamboat or the aircraft all over again. But despite their best efforts, Ford struggled to get enough attention to their new amazing truck. Something that they could have prevented with a Squarespace website. But hold on, don't skip this next part of the video as I'll have some sneak peeks for the next Found and Explained video right now. Squarespace starts with a best-in-class website template which allows you to customize every design detail with their reimagined drag-and-drop technology for desktop or mobile. You don't even need to make two sites. You can then stretch your imagination online with the Fluid engine built in and ready to go on any new Squarespace site. But that's not all, because every Squarespace website can also have a built-in shop to start selling right away, or you can use the campaign marketing tools to start driving business instantly. Seriously, Squarespace is the secret weapon that I even use for my online store at www.foundandexplained.shop. So thanks Squarespace, and thanks to those people who check it out, link down in the description. So come out from the cold and support the channel and see more videos just like this, as well as get 10% off your first item domain at www.squarespace.com/found. Special thanks to anybody who clicks that link to help support the channel. The Big Red Truck wasn't just big, it was colossal. Standing at 13 feet tall and stretching to a whopping 96 feet long, it may have not been a land train like the featured on the channel here before, but it outclassed most semi-trucks on today's roads in both length and weight. Boasting a hefty 180,000 pound gross vehicle weight. To propel its massive double trailers at a cruising speed of 70 miles per hour, the Big Red supported a 600 horsepower, 955 foot-pound turbine engine known as the Ford 705. It mated at an Allison 5-speed automatic transmission that drove the tandem axles. Its fuel-thirsty turbine engine was also paired with a 280-gallon fuel tank, providing a 600-mile range. And if you're wondering, why on earth would Ford even develop an engine that big and powerful? Well, it turns out, it was for the military. Originally designed for the US military to power tanks, minesweepers, and small ships, the 705 found a new home in the Big Red. Surprisingly, the truck's creation was rooted in a military project, unbeknownst to the public who saw it as a PR move, as a benevolent American-loved corporation just experimenting with engineering designs. Yeah, no, it's all about money in the end. But despite its promotional origins, Ford really did care about the final product, and it shows. The Big Red was no slouch in the design and functionality departments. Beyond the groundbreaking turbine engine, it also featured one of the earliest air suspensions for semis and introduced a suspended cab. The cab that would glide over the road and actually give the driver an experience not unlike that of an airline captain. Sorry, I actually mean two drivers. Yes, that's right, the truck was designed to go non-stop in the night, safe for refueling, and the cabin was created with the idea to carry two personnel. And as such, the cab boasted a kitchen equipped with beverage dispensers, a refrigerator, and even a warming oven. And let's not forget the incinerator toilet. Yes, that's right, it would burn away your badness whilst traveling down the interstate at 70 miles an hour. Plus, there was a whole dual heating and aircon system that was unheard of for truck drivers in that era. Wasn't the 1960s incredible? While one driver could navigate the roads, the other could chill, catch some Z's, or watch TV, which was only visible from the passenger seat. The truck also featured odorless exhaust thanks to its fuel source that would make it perfect for city environments. The actual exhaust stack would be integrated into the fuselage of the truck cab. There would also be a retractable hidden ladder that would disappear to keep its slipstream features. Ford knew that this would be the future and hit the road after the World's Fair to show it to as many people as possible, hitting major cities like Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Dallas, Chicago, Denver, Oklahoma City, and even Los Angeles. Ford pitched the turbine truck as the trucking revolution, and it boldly featured it alongside the red-hot Ford Mustang in ads throughout the year. The public, caught up in the excitement and eagerly anticipating these colossal transporters dominating the country's spanking new superhighways, waited with rapt applause. But that never happened. Why? Timing couldn't have been worse for the new and exciting gas turbine era. In 1963, the Clean Air Act made its debut, and while it may have not seemed like a game changer at first, it allowed states to craft their own emission reduction initiatives. This posed a challenge for gas turbine engines since they were far from emission-free, being notably thirsty, particularly at low speeds. Adding to the hurdle was the substantial development costs involved in creating a new truck with cutting-edge technology. Complicating matters further, different states had varying criteria for gas turbine emissions, many that straight up eliminated this truck's ability to move. The second challenge revolved around the fuel efficiency, and unfortunately, it proved insurmountable. The reality is that the turbine engines, whilst capable of running on various combustible liquids, actually were more thirsty than the regular diesel engines. The appeal of their quiet operation, reliability, and smooth power delivery simply didn't justify installing one in a large truck when the practical performance was comparable to that of the regular diesel engine. Even if you did deploy it in a functional vehicle that generates income to offset expenses, the original turbines remain prohibitively expensive to manufacture. This stems from the stringent manufacturing standards required to build a machine that can safely spin up to 35,000 times per minute. Ford saw the writing on the wall and gave up in its pursuit for the world's perfect turbine truck, and as a result, the Big Red project bowed out of the scene sometime in the late 1960s. But what actually happened to the prototype? Funnily enough, you would think that Ford would keep some of its amazing machinery somewhere in a museum or in a warehouse, or even keep track of it at all. But in reality, they lost it as soon after the cancellation of the project and after its original promotional tour. After all, I guess they had no use for it, and only thanks to the website, The Drive, who did an investigation into what happened to the prototype, that we know where it ended up. Starting off with the end of the 1960s promotional tour, Ford decided to take the Big Red from a car show at Atlanta back to their headquarters for storage and eventual scrapping. But to be presented at the show, the Big Red had to be drained of its oil and fuel for safety. And when the show ended, they actually forgot about this and tried to turn on its engine. And Big Red's engine obviously melted due to the lack of oil. Thus, Ford had to hire a tow truck to take it back to the factory, where in a wild twist of fate, the tow truck itself broke down. Ford quickly found a nearby location that could store it until it got another tow truck out and parked it in a storage hangar in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, this hangar was owned by a company called Holman Moody, who was Ford's factory-sponsored racing team. And this is an important detail because the story's about to get pretty wild. Ford actually ended up firing 3 racing teams, including Holman Moody, the day before. The sudden dismissal put a bad taste in the owner's mouth, and he demanded compensation, which was, you get to keep everything Ford at your racing hangar. Little did the other bigwigs at Ford know that included the broken down truck. Boy, did they have an egg on their face when it happened, but they realized that it wasn't their problem anymore, and there was no reason to fight for a truck that didn't even work. The new owners tried multiple times to repair it, but also decided to put it up for sale at one point, but the truck didn't manage to move even on its own or with help. That was until the late 1980s, where an original fan who saw it at the 1964 World's Fair bought it with big plans to restore it. The work took 2 years to complete, but at the end of it, the Big Red was back, running, driving, and fully restored to its World Fair's condition. It was moved to a purpose-built garage constructed with the assistance of the owner's father, where it's remained ever since. There has been some speculation that it should be moved to a museum, or if it should be driven around the country, but it's such a huge machine and it would be risky to do so. The whole restoration project is fantastic, and I recommend that you read the original article all about it, listed below down in the description. Of course, there was also the Chevy design that was the rival to the Big Red, and I truly think it deserves its own video. Let me know in the comments if you want to see it, and I'll crack the whip at my 3D modeling software to get it to work. This video is only possible from the multiple research articles and reports compiled by thedrive.com. I want to personally thank them for their work and appreciate the articles written by Peter Holdereth that was essential for today's video. And I thought I would end the video today with showing you some behind the scenes of us trying to get the 3D modeling to work for this truck. It turns out it's actually quite hard to simulate such a large truck in Blender with so many wheels, and some of the results were really quite comical.